Ooh. With the help of Hashem, we are learning Shabbos Daf Dalid. We are in middle of the sugya, as Abaya inquired whether Yadoi Shal Adam Mahu Shetiyasa Kikarmelis, based on the premise that when the person's hand is extended in a different domain, whether the person is in the Rishus Harabim and his hand is in the Rishus Hayachid, or vice versa, as we proved from the Mishnah that in that scenario the hand is not nigrar, doesn't go after the domain of one's body. And therefore, if a person is, for example, in a Rishus Hayachid and they extend their hand to the Rishus Harabim, being that the hand is no longer considered in their domain, they did a akira, which is an Isur Midrabanan. So the Rabbi wants to know that when a person violated the Isur Midrabanan of doing part of the Malacha of Chaitza'ah, whether we should penalize the person by declaring that person's hand having the status of a karmelis, and if we make such a declaration, then it would be usher to retreat the hand back into the Rishus Hayachid, because midrabanan one may not take an item from a karmelis to a Rishus Hayachid, or from a Rishus Hayachid to a karmelis, or from a karmelis to a Rishus Harabim, or from a Rishus Harabim to a karmelis, or did the Chachamim not penalize and declare that a hand is like a karmelis? This was Abai's inquiry, and the Gemara brought for that two braises. Mamash speaking about this case. In Braisa number 1, it says that taka asur lahachzira. In Braisa number 2, that it says one is allowed to bring the hand back. The Gemara, we already are up to 3 different ways of teaching the Braisa without saying that this is the machlokes tanoim, asur lahachzira, mutar lahachzira, whether they declared the hand like a karmelis or not. So we're going to learn today, God willing, 2 other ways of reconciling these 2 braisas without having to make this a machlokes tanoim. We are up to the approach that both braisas hold that the person's hand is not declared as a karmelis. It's the chazer Rabbi up to. Nevertheless, there is a concept that since a person violated an isur, the Chachamim are going to say you may not bring your hand back in without declaring it into a karmelis. What's the isur of lahachzira is not only because they made the hand into a karmelis. The hand is not a karmelis, and still the Chachamim will say, you violated an isur midrabanan, we're going to cancel you. We're going to penalize you. After we're going to go through the other 2 options, we're going to go back to analyze a statement that we learned on Daf Gimel, that Rav Bibi inquired regarding a person that put bread in an oven on Shabbos. And the way they did it, just the words are that they would glue it on to the walls of an oven. Now, the act was done on Shabbos. However, the person is only going to be chayiv skila or chatos if it was b'shoigig, only if it actually baked, whenever that line is. Now, taking off bread from an oven, whether it's fully baked, whether it's not fully baked, which is called ridia sapas, because you're taken down, because it was stuck on the wall or on the roof, is an isur midrabanan. And we learned that Rashi yesterday, it's not stam an isur midrabanan. There was a vote. Nimnu v'gamru, right? Those were the words in Rashi. And they came ahead and they said, let's go with the sheet of Daran, the concept of uvda dechoil, which is a very interesting concept, that things that Chazal deem as a weekday activity, even though it's not breaking any of the malachas, becomes asur midrabanan. So there's an isur midrabanan to remove it. So Rav Bibi wanted to know that in the case where the person put it up on Shabbos, following through with this midrabanan would mean you have to leave it, which means it's going to get baked, will lead you to be violating isur d'oraisa. Can the chachamim let go of their isur midrabanan to help a person not violate an isur d'oraisa or not? We're going to go back to that sugya. Whether the case was b'shoigig or b'mezid, we'll analyze right now. But whichever one it is, Tzvika, if he did it b'shoigig, then the advantage of the Chachamim allowing you to take it down would mean that you won't be chayiv chatos. If a person, God forbid, did it b'mezid, then the advantage of the Chachamim allowing you to take it down would mean that you're not going to be chayiv skila. We're going to learn about a statement that the Gemara gives, a given that the akira and a hanacha is only called an akira and or a hanacha if it came from a makom at least of dalid al dalid tfachim, and if you put it down on a makim, that's at least dalid al dalid. We learned on Daf Gimel the concept, it's connected, that an akira only means an akira if the item was stationary. Only when something is stationary, and then you make an akira, then you did an akira. If it lachatchila wasn't that stationary, then your act is not called an akira. Similar to that is this concept that it needs to be taken off a makim dalad al dalad, because an item that's on a place that's less than 4 by 4 tfachim, then you can consider that item not that stationary, because it's on a very flimsy, a very small area. Let's go with that shot. Same thing with a hanacha. Hanacha means a hanacha. If you put it down solid, it's down. If you put it on a place that's less than 4 by 4 tfachim, then it's a given here. It's not considered a hanacha. The challenge we will have with that is the whole Mishnah. All of the examples was from the yad of the ani to the yad of the balabayis. In the Mishnah, that we had cases of an isur d'oraisa, even in the beginning. Both the akira and the hanacha is coming from a hand or on a hand. So l'chayra, a hand is less than dalad dal dal. Now we're not the Mishnah in these cases, even when we're speaking about a hand that's in the same domain as the person. But the hand is not dalad dal dalad. And we're going to see how far we can get. It's relatively not such a big daf, so we're going to go into a little daf hey. We're going to have an approach that our Mishnah goes like Rabbi Akiva, our Mishnah goes according to Rebbe. There's going to be various ways to speak that there are Tanoim that hold that you don't need to have the Dalad Dal Dalid, and therefore that Tana will be the Tana of our Mishnah. And ultimately we're going to come to a whole different maskana, but we're going to get to that already in the middle of daf hey. And we're going to learn many other concepts. Kluta k'mishahun chadami. We'll speak it out as we learn. There are many important klalim regarding carrying that we're going to be learning here on Daf Dalet. Okay.
This Dalet was stationary. It's different than the Midas of Makim Patur, right?
It's different. Well, like this. We're going to speak about so Makim Patur means very good. Okay, let me say something else. A Makim Patur is defined as a locale that's less than Dalet al Dalet.
It's less than Dalet.
However, when it comes to the hand of a person, we will not consider it. There's not even a havamina to consider it a makom p'tur. See, this is the whole sugya of the unique status of a hand, because when my hand is in the same domain as my body, and I'm considered dalad al dalad. In other words, the hand is zikr not a makom p'tur. Let's go with that, but it's not dalad al dalad. Okay, so let's go like this. We left off 5 lines before the bottom of Daf Gimel Amud Beis. As we reviewed in the intro, we have Abaya's inquiry. We had 2 braises, Asar Lachzira, Muta Lachzira. We are going now with the flow that both braises hold, that the Yad, the Chachamim never made a knas to declare a hand like a karmelis. And let's go further. It's not like we had in the beginning. What was the last answer we had? That if you put your hand out b'mezid, then they cancel you. Without saying it into a karmelis. You can't bring it back in. If you brought out your hand b'shoigig, then they didn't cancel you. So the Iba Yisema, 5 lines from the bottom, Idi, both braises, is speaking about b'shoigig, that you extended your hand inadvertently. Chevra, shoigig Shabbos can mean one of the 2 things. Either you forgot that it's Shabbos, or you knew it's Shabbos, but you forgot that there's an isur of hoitza'ah, including you didn't know that midrabanan you can't even do a akira, and putting your hand out, we already established pshita is called an act of akira. It was a shoigig, and therefore, and no one holds that your hand is a karmelis. So why would one brayse say you may not take it back in? So this is a shas concept, not connected only to Shabbos. Based on the premise that if you would extend your hand b'mezid midrabanan, it would be asur for you to take it back. Why asur? Again, not because it's a karmel, it's because you violate an isur midrabanan. Thing that feels like cheder. Keep your hand extended the whole Shabbos. Oh, if a person does it b'shoigig, theoretically there's no knas. But what were to happen if someone did it b'mezid, and they're going to say, no, I did it b'shoigig. They're going to say they did it b'shoigig to circumvent this penalty. So there is an approach to say that we're kindness shoigig automazid, not to allow the guy that did it b'mezid to be able to get around it by claiming he did it b'shoigig. Oy bazoi, even if you did it b'shoigig, you're penalized. Because shoigig is going to be fligi. Mar savar, this is the brayso number 1. Konsu shoigig automazid. Mar savar brayso number 2 that says mutalach zira. David sit by the table. It's much better that like konsu shoigig automazid. Now the final answer.
If he had done it amazing, everyone would agree that he has to be
constant, but not because it's a karmelis. You can't prove from these braises that they made it into a karmelis. Could be it's even though it's not a karmelis, you have to keep your hand out. The no one holds. What do you mean konsul? Listen, if a guy did a demezid and he wants to circumvent it, he'll take his hand back in. We're not worried about that. This sugya is mamish halacha l'mais. Listen to this. B'shoigeg, no question, you can take your hand back in. Now, don't forget that making an akira b'shoigeg in the case of Abaye was when you put your hand out of the domain. What is the real, normal shoigeg scenario that happens many times nowadays? You live in a place where there's no eruv, and you didn't check your pockets, and you made an akira, this is mamasha, and you walked outside. And as you are walking, before you stopped making a hanacha, you're carrying something. Same thing. So the question is, what do you need to do? What do you need to do? Now, we're not learning halacha l'maisa, but there's a big machlokes hapoiskim, halacha l'maisa, based on this Gemara. Our Gemara says like this: Kan, you are allowed to take it back. You can take your hand back in lo'isa chatzar. That's mutter, because then you did an akira b'shoigig, and when you take it back in, as we'll see, your intent of carrying, even though you did it b'shoigig, is b'chlal not getting fulfilled. You won't end up carrying something from here to there. It's coming back where it came from. The mutter, that knowledge. Kan, the brayse that says that it's aser is lechatzer acheres. So the example here would be that outside your window, you're going through a Reshus Harabim, but right nearby there's another chatzar. And the kavana was, b'shoigig, let's say the person forgot you can't carry, he wanted to do two things. He wanted to clear out his yard, clear out his house, declutter it, get rid of something that's by my domain, and number two, I wanted this to be over there. So now there is a Reshus Hayachid. Now we're going to get into later the whole sugya of Eruvin, that midrabanan, even from one Reshus Hayachid to someone else's Reshus Hayachid without an Eruv is asur. But let's not go into that detail. Let's say that I own both Chatzerim, or they are owned by the same people. And here, you don't even need an Eruv. If I'm carrying from one Reshus Hayachid to another Reshus Hayachid, as long as they belong to the same people, you can transfer. So my kavanah was to extend my hand and to throw it over there to the yard that also belongs to another yard. So here the brayse says you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. Because I made an akira. Now where is my hand? See, if my hand would go from my backyard to my other backyard, I did no aveda. It's like I'm walking around with something in my house. There's no akira. But if I take my hand and I extend it into the Reshus Harabim, that's the whole premise. Now that my hand is not in my Reshus, so it's considered in another Reshus. Oh, that means I did an akira. An akira may not be done, midrabanan. I violated an isur midrabanan b'shoigeg. I'm not allowed to have any of my intent come to fruition. And if I would drop it off over there, then I got my way. Then I did something wrong. Similar to the question that Rava asked of Rav Nachman, that if a person had something in their hand, vehoitzia means like the case that I'm giving, not your hand. You walked out, lachutz, you're walking down lasiyen again, you chap something is in your pocket. Can you bring it back to where you came from? Amalei said, Rav Nachman said, yeah, mutter. Then Rava asked him, what about l'chatzer acheres? And he told him aser. I asks Rava to Rav Nachman, Mishnah. Listen, the akira was done already. So the solution would be, don't make a hanach in Reshus Harabim. Don't stop walking. Stop in another Reshus Hayachid. So l'may nafkamina. So Rav Nachman responded to him with Azal Lashon Chazal. It's a light-hearted expression. I'll answer the question when you measure for me a certain measurement of salt as commission. But give me epis. I'm giving you so much chachma. No one teaches Torah, God forbid, for money. It's all bechinam. Epis, give me some salt. And what is the answer? Hassan, when you're bringing it back into the same chatzar that you came from, loy isavida machshavtoi, none of your intent was fulfilled. You had two steps. Number one, to clear up your chatzar here, and number two, it should get over there. When you bring it back, not you cleared up your chatzit here, nor was it deposited where it was going to be deposited. Hache, if you will make a hanacha in another reshus, so then isavidu machshavtei, then what you intended happened. Now, even though the akira was done, b'shoigeg, so what? We don't want for any of your intent to come to fruition. And indeed, just to know that the another reshus hayachid, another reshus, of course, another reshus hayachid. That happens today. Now, I give you the Dagel Merkava, right, who's in Shulchan Aruch, which is the Noide Yehuda. He taka paskins based on this Gemara. We don't follow him. The Magen Avram doesn't say this. But the Dagel Merkava paskins, now that if a person who is walking down the street and they find something in their pocket, they discover they're carrying, they should not stop. Everyone agrees with that. What should they do? Dagel Merkava from the Rav Nachman, turn around, go back to the place that you came from. Because like this, you make the hanacha in the same place from where you made the akira. Lo yisavida machshavtoi. Many other poskim don't say. The Magen Avram doesn't say that. It's like a knas. Yeah, we are preventing if a person will become habituated to make a carry. Then there's a fear that maybe he'll do it b'mezid, something like that. It's not a knas. It's a geder.
And what's the alternative if you can't return?
The alternative you can't return. Then kula alma. The bigger problem would be to stop in the street. Because when you stop, right, you make a hanacha. Then you did an akira, taka b'shoigig, because the akira was done b'shoigig. Don't do that. So many,
It's better you bring it to shul, or you take it out of your pocket while
No, okay, so whether you're taking it out of your pocket, so you have all these things. It's a big sugya. It's not so simple. Whether you should throw it on the street, kala achayad, shaloi kedarkoi is another inyan. If there's a makim ptur, like a mailbox or any area, if it doesn't have dalid, there's a whole different approaches. Or keep on walking and go to your destination. That's the most lenient opinion, not like Rav Nachman. And like this, at least you didn't make a hanach into another reshus hayachid. And don't forget that carrying, just to know this, from one reshus hayachid to someone else's reshus hayachid is not allowed midrabanan. That's the whole thing of eruv. You have to make an eruv chatzeres. Okay, let's go on. Gufa. We learned above. Boye Rav Bibi Barabaya. These are the klalim of carrying. Now we're learning another klal of Shabbos. Hidbik pas betanu. They used to stick it on the walls of the inner oven, or on the roof of the inner oven. And doing that on Shabbos, now when we quoted it yesterday, we said b'shoigig, but when we learned Rashi at the end quickly, both options. We'll see, we're not even certain what is the case of Rav Bibi. But if someone did such an act, and if he'll leave it in the oven, so if he put it on b'shoigig, he'll be chayiv chatos when it bakes. If he got did it the mezid, that when it bakes, he'll be chayiv skila. And now, someone, maybe the person, maybe someone else, chapt oy gewalt, it's Shabbos. So take it down. And if you take it down, even though you shouldn't have put it there, but if you take it down, if it never baked and you didn't violate baking, taking down pas from a tanur on Shabbos is an isur midarabanan, right? It's called rediyas hapas. So the question is, will the chachamim themselves permit you to violate their isur in order for you not to be chayiv and isur d'oraisa? Hitiru lo yiliradoisa kodim shel chiyuv chatos. See chiyuv chatos. That's the case of a shoygig. Oy lo yitiru. So Omar le Ravacha barabai le Ravina. He's not answering the boya. He wants to understand what is the case of this boya. Hey chidami ileme b'shoygig, that the person attached the bread b'shoygig and v'lo yitkarlei, and he didn't remember that. Again, shoygig can mean shoygig that you don't know you can't bake on Shabbos, or you don't know it's Shabbos. Both of them is called a shoygig. Now, when did you remember? If you didn't remember, you stay in your state of unawareness until it's baked. Then exactly who would take it down? It's not a shaila. There's an inquiry because there has to be someone who realized, something wrong happened. So it's not your classical shoygig that someone did something and he doesn't know it's prohibited and you remain with your lack of knowledge. If you have lack of knowledge until it's baked, then laman hitiru. To whom are we being matir? Someone must have realized that something wrong happened. Now, of course, no, not of course. Frek Gemara, elolav the ihadad v'itkar. Someone subsequently remembered something wrong happened. So now the question is, in that case, let's say you won't take it down. What would happen? What what's going to happen? Will you be chayiv chatos? No, you won't. No, you won't. Because the rule of chiyuv chatos, the rule of shoygig is that when can we say that I, God forbid, did something b'shoygig, if the whole melacha happened while I am in the state of unawareness. If I did something, I put it up there b'shoygig. But before if afiyah happened, I chapt oy gewalt, that in itself takes away the chiyuv chatos. Mi mechayev v'hatanan, that's a rule. Kol chayav chatois, einam chayavim, ad shetehei tchilason b'shoyga. The commencement of the act is b'shoygig, and v'soifan remains still in a state of shkaga. So, it's still a good boya. No one is making away the boya of Rabibi. But the words that he says, koidem sheyavay lidei chiyuv chatos, those words are inaccurate. In a case where someone put it up as shoygig, but now they're coming to a Beis Din and they're asking a Rav, can I take it down? You can't say the words koidem sheyavay lidei chiyuv chatos. That's not correct. He can say, listen, I'm not going to be chayv chatos, but I don't want to do an act of cooking. Forget about a chiyuv. I'm not worried about punishment. I don't want to sin. So the wordings don't fit. So Ella luchurat means the case is that the person put it on their b'mezid, and then the person does tshuva. But then again, the words should not have been koidem sheyavay lidei chiyuv chatos. What should be the words? Koidem sheyavay lidei skila. So koidem sheyavay lidei isur skila mi b'ayalei. So says the Gemara, Amalei Rav.
This whole chatos thing is not even.
No, is it? Yeah, the question we get, the way it was formulated, the words don't fit. What is the cage where you can put in those words?
The beginning was amazing.
It must be the case is b'mezid. So Amar Rav Shila lo olam b'shoygig. Because if not, the words l'dei chiyuv chatos doesn't fit. And look at this havamina. This is such a Avos Yisrael Gemara. One yid put it on b'shoygig. That Jew is not even here. He doesn't know that you can't bake. And therefore, taka, if it's going to become baked, he'll be chayv chatos. Another Jew discovered that this happened before it fully baked. So now a yid wants to know, can I break an isur midrabanan to prevent my fellow Jew of violating an isur skila? Am I allowed? Now, for me to sin, I'm sorry, chatos, isur doraisa. Can I violate an isur derabanan to prevent my fellow yid of violating isur deraisa? That's the havamina. Shoygig is a deraisa. He did it b'shoygig, but he violated afiyah mideraisa. He baked. A fellow yid baked on Shabbos. He's not going to be chayv skila, but he baked. Laman hitiru. Who is asking the question whether you could permit or not to other people? Now we have to, we have to have Avos Yisrael. But the Gemara is going to say that's not correct. No, it's even though I want to help my fellow Yid not violate an Isur Doiraisa, I may not violate an Isur even Midrabanan. So we reject this concept, but it's still a Havamina. It's an interesting Havamina. Maskav lo Rab Sheishes v'chiyam rinim lo adam chata sin. What does he expect? That the Beis Din will tell him, take it down? Taking it down means that you're violating Isur Midrabanan. Kedei sheyizkar chaveirecha? Certainly not. No, there's no such a havamina even. I may never sin even on the Rabbanan level, even if my intent is to prevent someone else from violating the Isur D'Oraisa. I have to help my fellow Yid, but I cannot sin because of it. Ella Amar Ravashi lo oilam b'mezid. It doesn't fit in the words, which it doesn't, so you have to amend it. Ve'ema koidem shiur l'isur skila. A Yid put it up there b'mezid. He knew it's Shabbos, he knew you can bake, and he put it in there, and then he does tshuva, and he goes to the Rav, and he tells the Rav, here's a chayin, I did something very wrong. In 5 minutes, it's going to bake. Can I take it down? So Rav Bibi wants to know what do you tell him? So it says Tosfos, the first Tosfos under the Gemara, if this Yid is going to be chayv skila, do you think he's going to listen to what the Chachamim tell him now? In other words, he did tshuva, now he's a tzaddik, now he's a bal tshuva greater than a tzaddik. But he knows that if he won't take it down, what is he going to get? Skila. And if he takes it down, what is he doing? He's violating an Isur Midrabanan. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense for him to obey the Chachamim. Mesiras Nefesh. So first of all, he might have missed it. He taked the tshuva. But Tosfos says that it's not the pshah that if he won't take it down, that he's going to get skila. Because since now he did tshuva, so the whole act the act and the effect of the act wasn't while he was amazed, he won't get skila. Lidei Isur skila means it's in the category of skila. It's a mezidika scenario. That's what Tosfos says. Mamash Gavaldik.
Meaning now he entered into a shaygig.
Now he's not a shaygig, but he won't get skila. But if he won't take it down, then he sinned b'mezid.
Like the whole act has to be the mazid.
The whole
Whatever the whole avera.
the two steps have to be.
That's basically what it is. He wouldn't
get skila because now he's not in a state of rebelling against God. He did tshuva. He wants to take it down. Mamash Gavaldik. No, Rav Ashi is saying that Rav Bibi meant koidem shiur skila, but other people had a different version. That Amar Rav Bibi bar Abaya, he'd big pas betanu, he tiro loy l'radoisa koidem shiur skila or not. Okay, no, it's clearly that's not what he meant, because if there was shoygig involved, it's the same kasha, but you can't say the words koidem shiur isur chatos.
But then this wouldn't fit for Tosfos, no?
Huh?
I think this lashon wouldn't fit for
Lidei Isra skila means to do something in the category of a skila. That's what Tosfos teaches. Okay. And really there's two opinions in Tosfos. That's only one approach of Tosfos. But this is already a gewaldige thing. When there's the Maisa, there's the Pu'ula, and then there's the Nifal. That's what we're talking about over here. It goes by the Pu'ula, it goes by the Nifal. Okay. Says the Gemara. The Gemara is referring back to the Mishnah. Pashat ha'ana yas yodim. We're going to the Reisha of the Mishnah, where the Mishnah gave examples where one of these two did both the Akira and the Anach and the Chayav. And we had the case, right, that the Ani takes something, the Ani extends his hand inside, the Ani puts it on the hand of the Balabayas. The Ani is Chayav and the Balabayas is Pater and Mutter. Then the other case is that the Ani puts his hand inside, he takes it off the hand of the Balabayas. He took it, he brings it outside, again the Ani is Chayiv. We're given cases where one party did both the Akira and the Hanacha, but in both cases it was either on the hand or from the hand. Says the Gemara, Amai Chayiv, why would there be a Chiyuv? V'habe'inen Akira v'Hanacha, both Akira and Hanacha has to be Me'al. Me'al literally means from, but it also means into. It's on both Akira and the Hanacha, Gabemakim Dalad al Dalid, and Vilekem. And we don't have a Makim Dalid al Dalid. Gavaldik. And look inside the Tosfos, like the third Tosfos under the Gemara, V'haba'in Akira v'Hanacha, Ame al Makim Dalid, Ami Rabbeinu Tam, the Ein Regilus, L'haniach HaChefetz B'pachos Midalid. He gives another approach. We didn't speak this out on our intro. That there's a klal in Shabbos, that anything that's done in an unusual way, you should just know automatically that action gets downgraded from an Isur D'Oraisa to an Isur D'Rabbanan. It may not be done unless you have other atadim. And since in everything is learned from how things were done in the Mishkan, building in the Mishkan and the Midbar, and there nothing was put down on a place less than Dalad al Dalad, nothing was taken off. So it's Ein Regilus. Or like we spoke out in the intro, if it's not a Makam Dalad al Dalad, other Rishonim say that, then it's not solidly resting. It's not Noyech. So then when you're picking it up, it's not a real Akira. To begin with, it wasn't properly resting. Okay. So it says the Gemara like this. Amar Rabba, answer number one, you're right, there is such a cloud. Number two, a hand is takanat dalad al dalad. Now, physically, a hand is not 4 by 4 tfachim. The end of the sugi will be that the chashivus of the hand is like that. We're going to get to the end. But now we're accepting the premise. A hand is not dalad al dalad, and most of the Tanoim hold that it has to be from a place and onto a place of dalad al dalad. But there is one Tana that doesn't hold of that, and that will be the author of our Mishnah. So says Rabbah, beginning with Rabba Kiva. Amar Rabba Hamani Rabba Kiva. First white line. The Amar lo be'inan makim da arba al arba. And where do we find this? Where do we have this Rabba Kiva, the Tanan, quoting a Mishnah in Shabbos Daf Tzadik Vav? Chevra, Gavaldik cases, Hazoirik, Minishus HaYachid, Rishus HaYachid. Two Chevra playing a catch. And from my yard to your, or my basketball from my yard to your backyard, just saying that playing basketball and catch in public is Uvda D'Choil. but many people are mated it if it's in your backyard. But here I'm going from my backyard to your backyard, from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaYachid, and Rishus HaRabim be'emtza. Now the article that I'm throwing is not stopping into the Rishus HaRabim. So what would be the problem? Again, we're not addressing Al-Or Eidovin. The case will be that both Rishuyas HaYachid belong to the same owners. No problem with Eidovin. The problem is that it's going through the Rishus HaRabim. Now we're going to get in a moment to higher than 10 and lower than 10. Let's remember these rules that the Rishus HaYachid goes until the heavens. Or the Rishus HaRabim only goes up 10 Tvachim. Put that aside for one moment. Says the Mishnah, Machlokes Tanoi, Rabbi Akiva's Machayev. And interestingly, Machayev means one chatos. You did it b'shoigig, you chayev one. The one chatos will be fundamental. However, v'chachamim poitri. And let's go further. Rabba is quoting, how does that Rabbi Akiva answer our question? So Rabbi Akiva, Savar, that's the way Rabba explains the machlokes, that we say kaluta. Kaluta means contained. Something contained in a airspace of a domain is halachically tantamount to it resting there. Kaluta kimisha hun chadamya. Contained doesn't mean stationary. The very fact that this ball is flying through the airspace of the Rishus HaRabim, so it's kaluta in the Rishus HaRabim, halachically it's as if it rested in the Rishus HaRabim, even though it's moving. And if that's the case, there's an akira from a Rishus HaYachid, and there is a hanacha in the Rishus HaRabim. Now, the obvious question we'll learn in Amud Beis is, if that's the pshat of Rabbi Akiva, then hold on, then he should be chayiv two chatois. Why two chatois? Because he did an akira and a hanoch and a Rishus HaRabim, and then the ball keeps on going. Now you can even ask more. Maybe it should also be making a transference. Dalad Amis in Rishus HaRabim is also, we're not speaking about that for whatever reason, but it should be at least two. We'll get to that soon. But let's begin just with the concept. Kaluta Kamishun Chadami. And the Rabbanan don't hold of this Kaluta Kamishun Chadami. Oh, now, hold on. Now, what's the answer? That already answered. Because like this, correct? If my hand is in another domain, right? It's not in that rishus. But we keep on repeating, if my hand is in my domain, then my hand is in my domain. It's not in a different rishus. True, my hand is not dalad al dalad. The air is avada not dalad al dalad. If you subscribe to kaluta kemisha hun chadami, the fact that the ani, right, has his hand or he takes something and he puts it in the hand of the balabais. The balabais' hand is where? It's in the Rishus HaYachid. How is the hand worse than it's flying through the space? It's takanad dalad al dalad. But once you subscribe to kaluta kemisha hun chadami, so it's in the airspace of the Rishus HaYachid. So it's keilu, he made a hanacha into the Rishus HaYachid.
So according to Rabbi Akiva, regardless of dal, anything.
No, according to Rabbi Akiva, you can word it. You can either say that he doesn't need dalad, or you can say that once it's in the airspace of a rishus, it's keilu, it's munach on the ground of that space. So you have it dalad. Okay. Says the Gemara, it's how ironic that the Rabbi is the one that's giving this answer. When Rabbi himself, when he learned the Mishnah on Daf Tzadik Vav, he gave two ways of learning the Mishnah. And you know what? According to one of the other ways, even the Chachamim will agree to Kaluta Kamisha Hun Chadami. Really, that's a better answer. Because Oy Vazoi, our Mishnah doesn't have to go only according to Rabbi Akiva. But how can Rabbi say that our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Akiva? That's the machlokes, learning the Dalad and Beis. Besoich Asara Pligi, which is fundamental, because the Kaluta Kamisha Hun Chadami means that when something is contained in a airspace of a domain, it's as if it's resting in that domain. If you threw a ball, Lamayla Masara Tvachim, which would be the norm? Lamayla Masara Tvachim is Taka Kaluta Kamisha Huncha, but in what? In a Makim Tur, it's higher than 10 Tvachim. And therefore, according to this way of understanding the machlokes, it's a given that the case of the Mishnah was that you threw it b'tei chasara, which is one way of learning the Mishnah. But did Rabba know for sure this is the way you learn the Mishnah? No. Rabba had a question as to how to learn the machlokes. As we learned, second line, the Bayar Rabba. Is it lamata miyut pligi? And the Baha pligi that Rabbi Akiva Savar Kalut Kamishon Chadami and the Rabbanan Savi Lo Yamrin Kalut Chadami, which is the way we learned it now. and now we'll add another layer which we're going to introduce, and Avo Lamaila Miyud Divrei Hakol Patur, because it's an Amakim Ptur. De Kula Alme Lo Yalfinen Zoyrek Mi Moishit. What's Zoyrek Mi Moishit? Moishit means extending over, passing over, handing over. Moishit or Hoishata is a tulda of carrying. It's a tulda of carrying. Now, this is the rule. If a certain activity happened benegeya to the building of the Mishkan, even if it doesn't follow the regular rules of that malacha, that will become asr. In the Mishkan, when we built the Mishkan, when we transported the Mishkan, the Leviim would hand over, it would be moishit, the beams that were on one wagon, to other Leviim that were standing on another wagon. All of the Agolos had a din of it, Rishus HaYachid, simply because, Aleph, they were 10 tfachim above the ground. Number two, the wagon itself was more than dalad al dalad, was dalad al dalad and more. So they would have a beam, imagine a few Leviim on one wagon, they would hand it over to the Leviim of the other wagon. When they would handle it over, the beams would go l'mayla miyud. It would go l'mayla miyud. Nevertheless, since this act was done, b'meleches hamishkan, choshata, passing over, one to the other, from one Rishus HaYachid to a Rishus HaYachid. One wagon, choshata from one Rishus HaYachid to another Rishus HaYachid, even l'mayla miyud tfachim, is going to be asur midoy raisa. No one debates that. Question is that is only by hoishata. Do we compare halachically zrika to hoishata? So all of our explanation is predicated udekula alma lo yalfinan zodik mimoishet. And according to this way of learning pshat in the Mishnah, only according to that is Rabbah correct to say that our Mishnah that doesn't subscribe to the need of Dalad al Dalid is because it follows Rabbi Akiva that holds the din of Kluta. However, Oidilma Rabbah himself gave another way of learning that Mishnah. Lamay Lamayud Pligi. No, they're Lamay Lamayud. And don't tell me Lamay Lamayud is not a problem. No. By Hoishata, the anomaly, we don't care that it's Lamay Lamayud. Ubaha Pligi. Rabbi Akiva holds we do learn Zoydik Mimoishit. Just like Hoishata, even Lamayla Miyud is in violation midoraisa of carrying, so throwing. Now also, did it stop there? No, but everyone will hold Klutika Mishuncha. V'Rabbanan Savri lo yalfin zaydik memoishit. But Lamata Miyud Divrei Hakoil Chayiv Maitama. Everyone holds Klutika Mishuncha Damya. So we're not challenging the toichin of Rabba's answer. But why did Rabbah say our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Akiva? Rabbah himself, who had another option of how to learn the Machlokes and Daf Tzadik Vav, according to that second option, everyone holds Klutika Mishun Chadami. So it faremfers the Mishnah, but L'Kula Alma. So the Gemara says now, Holei Kasha. That's not a problem. Because Basar, the Ibaya Hadriv Shetalei. In other words, initially Rabbah had two ways of learning Pshat in the Mishnah. And that's life. You have a doubt how to learn Pshat in the Mishnah. At a certain time, you chop which way is right, for whatever reason. And when Rabbah made the statement that our Mishnah follows Rabbi Akiva, was after he concluded how to learn Pshat in the Mishnah, that only Rabbi Akiva, he concluded only Rabbi Akiva holds Klut Kemishu and Chadamya, and being that he's answering the problem with the hand is not Dalad al Dalid, by saying, Kluta, and Rabbah at the end concluded that only Rabbi Akiva subscribes to Kluta. That's why Rabbah can say our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Akiva. Says the Gemara, this answer is not good enough. Like we mentioned, the Mishnah spoke about both you depositing it on the hand of the Balabayas. You made a hanacha on the yad, and the Mishnah gave another case where the ani began the akira ma'al yodei shabalabayas. Learning the Mishnah the way we just did only means that Rabbi Akiva holds that it suffices for a hanacha kluta, and Yataka don't need dalad al dalad or tzvika, that's pshat dalad al dalad. But if Rabbi would say that we use the concept of kluta kimisha huncha to the point that then the akira is from a place of dalad al dalad, or it's you don't need the dalad al dalad for akira, then why didn't Rabbi Akiva say yachayv tu chatois? V'dilma fragt the Gemara hanacha hu deloi bayam. For sure, you don't need an actual hanacha. You say kaluta is tantamount to hanacha, but akira boya. But no one, this Mishnah, Dafka doesn't say that if something is coming from the ear space of a domain, a akira happened because of kluta. If Rabbi Akiva would have held that, then he would have said Yechayv tu chatois. And what's the logic? What's the logic to only apply for hanacha, not for akira? So one way of wording it will be that the beginning of the malacha is the most serious point. So once you already began the malacha, to conclude it, you didn't fully put it down, we use a legal concept. But if you are beginning a maisa of hoitzah, it has to actually begin by you picking it up from the dalet. And from the ear space, you don't have it. And our Mishnah gives a case where the ani made the akida me'al yaldo shabal abayis, and he brought it outside. And the Mishnah says the ani is chayev chatos. He violated the Oraisa. Why? It's coming me'al dalad, and you don't see from Rabbi Akiva such a shita. Rabbi Akiva Dafka does not subscribe to that shita. If not, he will be chayv to chatos. So therefore, this answer is agishlagin. Ella Amar Rabbi Yosef. Our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi, and that was the end of his answer. Right? As we just came off from Brachas, Rabbi Yosef was the Sinai. He knew the whole Torah Shemal Peh. He didn't even feel there's a need for him to tell you which Rabbi. So now we, after Haraveh, we have it easy. But the Chachamim then needed to go through all of the Tanoim, Mishnahs, Braisas, Toseftas, to see which Shita that Rebbe said shows that Rebbe holds that you don't need Dalet. Frag the Gemara, hi Rebbe, right, the first white line, Ilay Mehar Rebbe, the Tanya, Zorak V'noch Al Gabiziz Kol Shuhu. A person throws an object in a Rishus Harabim, and it lands on a protrusion that's 4 amas away. Here we're not speaking about Rishus HaYachad to Rishus Harabim or vice versa. Here we're speaking about making a transference, Dalad Amas, B'Rishus Harabim. But even to violate making a Hoitzah, Dalad Amas, B'Rishus Harabim, there needs to be an Akira, and there needs to be an Anacha. Here I threw something, and it landed, taka 4 amas away, but on a ziz, kolshu, on a little protrusion. That protrusion doesn't have Dalad al Dalad. Rabbi is Mechayev. Now, why is Rabbi Mechayev L'chayda? Because Rabbi doesn't subscribe that you have to have the Dalad al Dalad.
For the hanacha.
Yeah, but now we're saying, in the Havamina, same thing for the Akira. He doesn't subscribe to that at all. The Chachamim Pleitrim. The Chachamim Pleitrim. So, says the Gemara, no. Hassan over there, the whole case, you don't know the case, is Kidebo'inan L'meimer L'kaman. As, now this is in the context of another discussion. We already concluded, like Abaya learned Pshat in this Braisa, and obviously it's a whole different case. The Amar Abaya, Hachi be'ilin ha'omed b'rishus ha'yachid, v'noifay noitil rishus harabim. As we spoke out by Yad, the person's feet in one domain, the person's hands in another domain, let's go over to this concept by a tree. So you have the ikaroi, we'll call that the trunk. The trunk is in one domain. Its branches are protruding into another domain. The trunk has dalad al dalad. The branches do not. Skinny branches. If the branches and the trunk are in the same domain, l'kula alma, even if it rests on the branch, it rested al dalad al dalad because the branch is viewed as an extension of the trunk. But since they are in different domains, here you can argue that the branch doesn't have dalad al dalad. So everyone holds that it has to be al gabi dalad al dalad or may al dalad al dalad. You don't have that, and that's the machloikas. And again, here the case is about making a transference dalad amid b'rishus harabim and v'zarak. A person begins under the rishus harabim and they throw it, and it lands on the branch in the rishus harabim. So what's the issue? Everyone holds you need dalad al dalad. Again, if the branch and the trunk would be in the same rishus, I don't care that this branch doesn't have dalad al dalad. It's coming from the trunk that has dalad al dalad. But now that it's another rishus, no one is saying that we should consider the rishus of the branch like the trunk. No one says that. The branch is in the rishus harabim. The question is, can you transfer over the maila of dalad al dalad from the trunk to the branch? This is mamash, the story of a yid. We all come from the shayrish. Our shayrish is gesund. We are out here into the rishus harabim. We're into the rishus harabim. We're not the tzaddik that's still in the rishus hayachid. Question is, do we get some of the qualities of our shayrish? Gavaldik concept that Rebbe holds shedei noifei basari kare. It's taka rishus harabim, But you can take the ikarai, you can take the koyach of the ikid and give it to the branch. Oy bazoi, the branch halachically has dalad al dalad. So this person made a hanacha on dalad al dalad. However, the Rabbanan Savri, lo yomrinan shedei noifei basi ikarai. Oy bazoi, you can't bring Rebbe to our Mishnah. It has nothing to do with our Mishnah. In that case, Rebbe views the branch as dalad al dalad. And you need dalad al dalad.
But if there is a concept of Bosar Kovas, also a human being, it's like that. It's like go after the trunk, go after the. If a branch can go after the trunk.
Shlomo, you come tomorrow. The end of this whole sugi will be is that the hand is considered dalad al dalad. Correct. But right now, in this case, the gewaldige concepts. Okay. Elo, it must be another Rebbe. Elo ha-Rebbe. The Tanya Zorek min Reshus HaRabim l'Reshus HaRabim. Another case. Before we learned Reshus HaYachid, Reshus HaYachid, Reshus HaRabim be'emtza. Now the opposite. Someone destroys something from one Reshus HaRabim to another Reshus HaRabim, and a Reshus HaYachid is be'emtza. Here we're not focusing on transferring Dalad Amas b'Reshus HaRabim. Here we're looking at the hoitzah of Reshus HaRabim to Reshus HaYachid, and Reshus HaYachid to the Reshus HaRabim. Taka in this case. The question is whether you chayiv two or not. And Rebbe Mechayiv. Rebbe Mechayiv means two. Oh. And the Chachamim are poitrim. And Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Mechayiv ha Rebbe Shtayim. Achas, because of its own achas, Mishum Achnasa. Isn't this gavaldik? In other words, L'chu'ura. Alma loy boyakira v'loy hanacha al gabi makim dalal dal dalid. Now let's say that it's because of kaluta. There's to hate. But here we see kaluta works both ways. He's taka chayv twice. It's good enough for you to consider it a hanacha, and it's also good enough for you to say that it's coming me'al dalad dal dalid. Oh, so the Gemara says, no, that's not a good answer because itmar Allah Rav v'Shmuel do Amri tarvayu dafei loy mechayiv Rebbe ela b'reshus hayachet mikura or mikaira. Rebbe does not hold that kaluta kemishahun chadami stam. The case is that you threw it through a reshus hayachid. Not only did it have four walls, but it had a roof. So an area that's closed from all six directions. There's a floor, there's four walls, and there's a roof. That area halachically is considered filled. And in such a property, when something goes through it, since it's considered filled with reshus hayachid, goo, so it stopped in there, and it stopped in there, and then it was uprooted from there by flying through there. So kaluta kemishahun chadami in an area that's unroofed, that the Rebbe doesn't say.
How is it physically possible to go through an area that's closed?
When you have a window open here, a guy really knows how to play ball. There's a window open there, and he throws the ball, and it goes from one window to the other window. A house, meaning a house with a roof, with four walls and a roof, it's as if it's full. So if it's takaf, imagine if it would be full of things. Even if the ball would fly through things, but that's already more contained. That's already stopping. Even by the Reshus HaYachid, Rebbe will hold you not chayv, no chatas. And coming back to our Mishnah, what's our Mishnah? The ani is standing where? In the Reshus HaRabim. Now true, the Balabais is standing in the Reshus HaYachid. Reshus HaYachid is Mekaira. But the Hanacha won't work. The Chitema Hachinami that the Reshus HaRabim was a roofed Reshus HaRabim. So hatinach b'reshus hayachid mikaira that you can say. So the balabai is in a reshus hayachid. Since it's roofed, it's taka. Every area is dalad al dalad. It's one guk. But b'reshus harabim mikaira mi machayv, the whole din of a reshus harabim, aside of the precondition that it has to have a 16 amma width, and according to some poskim, it has to service kayotzim mitzrayim. Aside of these two preconditions, there's other preconditions. What it may not be roofed. If you have a 16 amma with Reshus HaRabim, and you have 1 million people going there every day, if it's roofed, it's not a Reshus HaRabim. V'ha'amar Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda amar Rab Abba amar Rav Huna amar Rav hamaver chayfetz dalad amas b'Reshus HaRabim. If it is mekaira, then pater lefi she'ein doimel diglei midbar, in the encampment of the Yidden in the midbar. There was no roofed Reshus HaRabim, and therefore the din of a Reshus HaRabim never goes on a roofed area. So let's chop quickly one more possibility. Not Rebbe, Agishlagen. Guys, remember Hoyri is Daf Yud Gimel. So there was Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, that was the Nasi, and there was some sort of attempt between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Nassan to ask him a question in Uksin, and he is not going to know the answer, as we just learned 2 daf ago, right? That the ki koi Rebbe behind the sector like the Shaila b'Masech Achriti, and then someone notified him that you're going to be challenged from Uksin, and he penalized both Rav Meir and Rav Nassan, that from then on Rav Meir is called Achedim, and Rav Nassan is called Yesh Oimim. Anyways, so here Achedim say, the Tanya Achedim Oimim, Omar b'Mekoimoi. Listen to this case. You're throwing something. Again, we're speaking about transferring Dalal Damas, let's say, B'Reshus Harabim. Or B'Reshus Harabim, L'Reshus HaYachid. I threw it, and someone caught it. Who did the Hanacha? I threw it, I did the Akira. If someone catches that item, what's pshat in the catching? Did the thrower do the Hanacha? Or did the catcher do the Hanacha? Depends. Depends if the catcher needed to run to catch it or not. Listen to this. That if the catcher stood in his place and Vikibel, and he caught it, even though he extended his hand, he didn't do the Hanacha. Chayiv means the thrower is Chayiv. But if the catcher needed to do Akar Mimakaima, he needed to uproot himself, and then Vikibel, then the thrower is Pater Al-Varasa. He didn't Akira without an Hanach. Says the Gemara, Upa, hold on. Why is he Chayiv? Mamash case, he caught it with his hand. That's the whole question on the Mishnah. So let's learn the final counter. Says the Gemara, no. The Dilma again. What did we learn against Rabbi Akiva? You're right. Achedim say that for catching, right, for Hanacha, the hand is as dalad al dalid, or however you learn the lamdis, but the case there is only about a hanacha. Ha'akira ba'inan. And more than that, even the hanacha who said he caught it with his hand, maybe he opened up his garment and he caught it in the corner of his garment, and his garment has dalad al dalid. For hanacha nami dimlav de pashat kanfi v'kibla. Dikanabi hanacha. So there's no raya from the achedim. So we're back to the question: who is the author of our Mishnah that doesn't subscribe to the concept that you need both for Hanacha and Akira Makim of Dalad al Dalad, God willing, to be continued. Okay guys, I think we should start a few minutes early.